And welcome to The Money Puzzle. My name is Randy Major, and joining me today are Chris Vaughn and Brian Ramsey from Family Wealth Planning Partners. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you today, Brian?
I'm doing really well.
How about you, Chris?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you.
Well, it's good to see you. I'm so glad to be here with you today. We've got a great show planned for the viewers at home. First, I want to get to know the both of you, and I think it's important for the viewers to understand who you are, why you got into this business, what you love about it. Brian, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I've been in the business since 2003, so almost 20 years. And I really got in the business because of a specific instance that happened, and I'll share that real quick. But so in 2000, and this is very typical, we see if clients come in, but in 2000, my mother retired from a career she'd had for years. And she was, one of those folks that had a pension, right? Mm-hmm. And so when she retired, she was working with an advisor, and the advisor said, gave her advice to take, instead of taking the pension, to roll the pension out into an IRA. So basically take a lump sum. Mm-hmm. And my mother was telling me this story. Well, this was in 2000 and 2001. So you know what happened in the market, right? The market kind of fell apart. And they had 100% of her assets were in one particular widget. Mm-hmm. We call them widgets, okay, because I don't get too specific. But it was in one particular widget. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what happened in the market? In 2002, when the market started to recover, her portfolio never really recovered like most. So it always just kind of stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And then in 2003, I had an opportunity to get in the business. I thought, you know what? One of my missions is to never let that happen to anybody else.
I love that.
So that's really what got me in the business.
Gave you a really different perspective on retirement.
Well, when you see it happen to your family, of course.
Oh, of course. And how about you, Chris?
Actually, my story's very similar to that. 2008, 2009, of course, we had the big downturn in the market. My parents were counseled to sell out of all the positions that were now at a low, and they purchased a bunch of not very good insurance-based products, and they never really recovered from that. And they also, the particular firm that they went with did a lot of tax work, things like that with them, and it did not go over well. And it kind of drove me into, I wanted to give people good counsel and actually send them in the right direction.
Right. I love that. So it's a very personal place for you to really help folks retire with a peace of mind and not be stressed out about it, right?
That's very true.
So let's talk about your firm's approach on retirement.
Yeah, so when we started the firm in 2017, we all come from different backgrounds, which is kind of cool. We all work for different firms. And so we have different experiences working for those firms. And we kind of got together and said, all right, what are some of the things that we want in a firm? And then what is sort of the building blocks that we want for that particular firm? So one of the things that we sat down and said, number one, we wanted to be independent. We did not want to be affiliated with a large firm, but we wanted to kind of customize it ourselves. Mm-hmm. Really wanted to have that independence to be able to say, all right, we're giving the client the best advice we can, not based off something that somebody's telling us to sell, right? So that was number one. Number two, we came together and said, we really want to build a coalition of advisors that have different backgrounds, different interests, different expertise. Like Chris, for example, has a background in long-term care. So whenever we have a client that has long-term care questions, Chris comes in the picture. And so we all have our different area of expertise. So that's really our goal, is building a coalition of advisors that have different backgrounds. And even when we look to hire another advisor on, we want to make sure that they bring something to the table that we don't necessarily offer. So that's sort of our approach, and we're adding folks. But when we originally sat down and said, okay, what are the sort of building blocks that we want for our firm? We really came up with two and said, these are kind of the two things that we've experienced over the, in my case, 20 years, and Chris has been in the business 7, 8, 10 years. What are some of the things we're missing? And I'd say one of the biggest things that we see across the board is a lack of education in our business. It is so prevalent. I mean, everybody that walks in our door, that's the common theme, right? Is just the lack of education. So we really started the firm on two fundamental principles: education and information. So education-wise, we know not every client's going to understand 100% of what we do, right? We understand that. But what we want to do is give them enough information so they can make a good financial decision. Because one of our mottos, not that we have a formal motto, well, we kind of do, we sort of do. But anyway, is we believe the more educated a person is about all financial aspects of their life, the likelihood is they're going to make better financial decisions, and better financial decisions lead to better results. So that's sort of our motto, if you will. But on the information side, we really approach every client about what we say to them is, hey, look, when you come in, our number one goal is to provide you the information you need in order to make a proper financial decision. Because every financial decision has two aspects to it. There's the information side, which is the data side. That's the number side of things. And then there's the emotional side, which we really can't help with. But our role is really to provide the client with the data side. Is what do the numbers tell you should do? Not only today, but 10 years, 20 years down the road. I'll give you a quick example. So we get this a lot. Client comes in and says, hey, I've got $200,000. I want to pay off my mortgage. Should I do that? And that's really a great question for us. They come in, they've said, hey, before I do this, I want to come to you and ask your opinion. So we're going to give them the number side of what that decision looks like. And then they can look at the emotional side and to see if that's the right decision. So on the data side, we're going to show them. Almost in every case, the data side of it says that really if your money it can make more money or be more effective for you in the market, that's really what it should do. As opposed to paying off debt that right now is what, 3.5% or so, and your money can make 5+ or so in the market, then that's just arbitrage, and so your money really should be in the market. Well, that's what the data is going to tell you to do. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there's the emotional side of it, and that's something we can't help with. Sometimes that emotional side will outweigh the data side. So that's really our role, is to make sure that clients have the information they need in order to make an educated decision.
Well, I think you've just proven the point of why you chose the name, The Money Puzzle, because retirement now is one giant puzzle with a lot of different pieces that have to be just right to fall into place for someone to feel comfortable to take that next step. Right. Wouldn't you agree, Chris?
Absolutely. I mean, where we came up with the name, The Money Puzzle, we've used this analogy many, many times for a long period of time, in that a financial plan really is a big jigsaw puzzle. Mm-hmm. The problem is when you go to the store and you buy a jigsaw puzzle, you've got a picture of what the final result's going to look like. You know exactly what you're heading to. You also know that the 500 or 1,000 pieces or whatever in there, you have all of them. Mm-hmm. But with a financial plan, it doesn't work that way. You have a vague idea of what that final picture is going to look like. But a lot of it's blurry, and a lot of it, people just don't know what they want there. You don't even know how many pieces you're supposed to have, much less if you have them all.
Right.
So what we do as financial planners is kind of help develop what that final picture is going to look like. And also, okay, what pieces do we have? What pieces do we need to get? Do we need to find or create in order to put that whole puzzle together? So that analogy is something, as part of the education piece that Brian was talking about. People understand that.
Right.
They can relate to that. Mm-hmm. And that's really where the name came from.
Yeah, well, I love that, and I think it makes sense, and I hope it makes sense to the viewers at home. And today we have a very special offer. If you are about to enter the years of retirement, maybe you need to get the ball rolling, Chris and Brian have a very special offer for you to take advantage and come and see them. Chris, do you want to tell them about that?
Absolutely. For the first 10 callers that call the number, 844-900-5210, we'll do a complimentary financial plan for you. Very simple, kind of find out what track you're on and if you're headed in the right direction.
Well, folks at home, we do have to take a very short commercial break, but the number is on your screen, and we encourage you to go ahead and give us a call and take advantage of this complimentary written plan that you're being offered today. Call us with your questions, and we're going to go to a quick break and be back with a lot more. 844-900-5210 is the number. We'll be right back.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to The Money Puzzle. I'm your host, Randy Major. Joining me today from Family Wealth Planning Partners are Chris Vaughn and Brian Ramsey. Welcome back. Now, I want to know a little bit more about your team at the office. Tell us about the rest of your crew.
Well, we've got, there's multiple people involved because it's a team approach. As far as the advisors go, we also have Eric Douglas and Aaron McAndrew. We have other people that are in the office. Part of a financial plan is the comprehensive aspect. You have to look into insurance, for example. So we have a person in our office that also does property and casualty. So your homeowners, your auto, umbrella insurance, things of that nature. We work as part of the plan. You've got to deal with the estate plan. So we actually have a retired judge who is an estate planning attorney.
Wow.
Who is right there in our office to be able to help people out.
It's really a one-stop shop, a well-rounded place to come in and get every piece of the puzzle
the goal,
you need.
exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Brian, tell me, what is your approach to building a stress-free retirement plan for your clients?
Go live in the Bahamas. No, no, or wherever you want to live.
That sounds great.
So we have two specific processes we want clients to do. There's one that's the onboarding process, and then we have sort of the ongoing process. So in that onboarding process, we really want to set the foundation of what their relationship looks like. So a very specific process we walk through, but the client's going to experience, obviously introducing getting to know us, and we get to know them, understand what their financial goals are, what they're trying to accomplish, maybe questions they have about a specific financial related issue. But after that, we get into the financial plan. So we're going to do a full-blown financial plan for the clients. And really what we're doing is setting a foundation that gives them the ability. This kind of goes back to the first segment we were talking about, information. But it's going to lay the foundation so that clients can have the ability to make a good financial decision. So that's sort of step number one. We also go through their estate work. That usually takes, 3 or 4 meetings or so, something
usually.
like that. And that's about 3 or 4 months in process. And then once we get past that, then we get them into a normal meeting routine. And we do things a little bit differently in our group. We actually have 1 or 2 meetings, or 2 or 3 meetings, depending on the client preference.
Okay.
But each of those meetings has a very specific subject matter.
Okay.
Beginning of the year, we talk more about, it's like a more administrative type meeting where we go through their financial plan every year, we update it. We do lots of beneficiary designation reviews. That's one of the things that none of us have ever seen any of the companies we ever worked with that we do it. We literally review every single year. And not once have we ever had a client say, well, why do you ask me that every year? Most of the time they're saying, I appreciate you going through that every year. So, but it's really an administrative type meeting. In the middle of the year, we really get focused on portfolio construction, risk assessment, or risk profile, asset allocation. Even if they have money in a 401k, we'll help advise on that as well. So that's really sort of portfolio focused. And then the end of the year, we really do sort of end of year planning, more tax planning than anything else.
Okay.
That's something Chris is going to probably talk about in a few minutes. We do work a lot with outside advisors for clients. And so that's important that we do at the end of the year because, as you know, CPAs are a little busy
Right.
around the first part of the
Exactly.
year. And even the middle of the year because they have extensions and all that. So we sort of focus that meeting at the end of the year to meet with tax preparers at the end of the year to say, hey, what is it that that this client can be doing to better suit them for this year, that tax year, or the following year. So that's when that's our third meeting of the year.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does the very first meeting look like? If someone calls today and they're going to come in and see you, what should they be prepared with? And about how long does that first meeting take?
Well, a typical meeting is anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. But really that first meeting is more of a get to know you. People don't want to go do business with somebody that they don't know, especially because the financial planning relationship is very personal. So you really need to get to know those people. So obviously people come with lots of questions, concerns, why they should be doing this, why they should not be doing this, whatever. But it's a get to know you on a very personal level. And then people can decide whether this is going to be a good relationship for them. And that's what that first meeting looks like.
Right, so it's really no pressure at all.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
no. And clients can bring in whatever they want. So
Sure.
they don't have to bring anything in. That's totally fine. We have some folks that come in for the first time and they'll bring us, a stack of stuff that tall, and we have to get through it. But typically, it's more so just to kind of get to know you. There's no way we could. We have clients that come in and they'll say, "Here's my 401k." There's no way we could just give you advice on that. We don't know we don't know nothing about you yet.
Of course.
It's sort of the analogy that we talk about a lot. If you have a back issue, right, and you go to the doctor walks in and says, you say, "Oh, doc, my back's hurting." And he says, "Oh, here's a prescription." You'd be like, "Well, wait a minute, you don't even know what's wrong with me or what's causing it, but yet you're giving me a prescription already." But if you went into the doctor and you said, "Hey, I've got a back issue," and he says, "Okay, well, great," he or she, sorry, and says, "Hey, sorry, just trying to cover my bases," but he says, "Hey, let's make sure that let's run a CAT scan, let's run some X-rays, we'll do blood work and all that," and then they come back and say, "Based on our findings, we'll give you a recommendation." It's no different in our business. We have to understand your full financial picture in order to be able to give you proper advice.
And when it comes to money and what you've built your whole life, it's just such a personal thing, and it can be, really intimidating to some folks to hand over that information, right?
Exactly.
I mean, if someone at home is hesitant right now and they really feel like they should be working with a planner, but just they're a little scared, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say that when you're a little kid, and I've got 2 kids, right? So I spent the first 6 or 7 years of their life saying, "Don't talk to strangers." And then when they get older, I'm going to say, "Don't talk to anybody about your money," right? But yet we're in a business where we talk to strangers about our money all the time. But really, it's so once you get to know, or once you have a good feeling that you want to work with somebody, it seems pretty easy for folks to say, "Hey, here's my financial life in a nutshell." And sometimes it's not pretty, right? I mean, let's be honest. We're not necessarily the saving. Folks don't save as much as they possibly should. So sometimes they come in, they're a little bit nervous about, saying, "Hey, this is really all I have." But it's very easily workable to say, "Okay, that's fine, but you've got the rest of your life to save, working life to save. Let's put a plan in place so that you can make the most of what you have."
But you aren't there to judge, you're just there
No,
to
absolutely
help.
not. Of course not.
You're there to give someone a plan and help them reach that retirement years with peace of mind.
Exactly.
And make it stress-free.
Exactly.
Sounds great.
There's so many people that before they go see a good financial planner, they feel like they have to get their house in order. That's the whole point of going through this is getting that house in order. It's kind of like cleaning the house before you have a cleaning service come in.
I do that.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of people feel like they have to get that done before they come see us. Come see us first.
Well, guys, we have to take another quick commercial break, but before we do that, let's remind the viewer of the special offer we have for them today. Brian?
Yeah, it's just a financial plan. It's very easily, you can bring in the information. You come in, we run it through, we have a software we run it through, and we give you some results. But also just keep in mind that when you come in, again, no judging, we were just saying that a few minutes ago, but there's a lot more detail that goes into it should you want to move forward. So, this is sort of a high-level type plan. We can get in the weeds if you want to move forward.
Well, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, but folks, the number's on your screen. Give yourself peace of mind today. Chris and Brian want to help you retire with ease, retire with peace of mind. Call the number 844-900-5210, and we are going to be back with more. Stay tuned.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to The Money Puzzle. My name is Randy Major, and I am chatting today with Chris Vaughn and Brian Ramsey of Family Wealth Planning Partners, talking a lot about getting to know you, your team, your approach, having a great show, and the phone lines are blowing up, so we're so happy. People are hungry for information. You don't know what you don't know, right? And that's why, folks, if you're coming close to that retirement age and you're almost there, you really should come in and see you guys, right? Take advantage of this offer today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd say don't wait till right before you retire.
Yeah,
right. Because
right.
we have clients that are in their 40s, and we use this analogy a lot. There's the whole seed versus the harvest thing, and lots of analogies you can use. But it's easier to plan when there's a seed versus planting when there's a harvest, because it's just a lot less pieces to manage.
So how do you decide when the best time for a client to retire is?
Well, it really depends on the client. What is it that you want to do? That's where we start. What do you want? Not what can you do? That's the wrong approach. What do you want to do? And then through the process of going through a financial plan, that's how you figure out what you actually can do, where the risks are going to be, what things can you do to help avoid those risks. So as far as when can you retire, it's when do you want to.
So it starts with the goal of
Absolutely.
the client, each individual
And it goes
client.
back to getting to know that client on a personal level. You understand what's driving them.
I'll add one thing to that. Everybody has an ideal retirement age, or most folks do. Our role really is to show them either they can or can't do that. If they, for some reason, can't, there are all these variables that they can adjust between today and the time they can retire to get them to that point. Sometimes we have to have the tough conversation of that age is just not going to work. You may have to work another year or 2 years, or you may have to take Social Security a little earlier, or you may have to delay Social Security, or you may have to take your pension earlier, or you may have to turn this lifetime income benefit on earlier or later. So there's all these different variables, but that's really our role, is to make that fit. So if a client says, hey, I want to retire at 65, then we're going to develop a plan to get them to 65.
And right now, gosh, there's so much going on in the world. Are you seeing that your clients are coming in and saying, should we, rethink things? Should we replan things? I mean, what are your concerns of your clients today?
Actually, the biggest concern that our clients have today is, are we still on track? So that's where you go back to the financial plan itself. That really is the driver to all of the questions. Okay, so certain things have happened. What adjustments do we need to make? We haven't had a lot of clients that are overly concerned because they understand how that plan works. And that review cycle that Brian was talking about, we're constantly going over these things and making sure that everything is in the right order. What we don't want, and our clients understand this, we don't want people to retire and spend their retirement years worried about retirement.
Right.
We want them to actually enjoy it.
Of course.
So as long as you stick to that plan and modify it as needed, you really don't run into that many problems like that.
Now, speaking of modification, do you see a lot of people that come in for a second opinion where you uncover things that maybe fees they didn't even know they were paying?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Sure. I mean, we see that all the time. I will tell you that a lot of clients, when they come to see us, well, prospective clients, and they're really looking for a second opinion, we'll go down the road that some of them they're like, well, we've never been even told that. We've never even heard that before. And so what we find often is that in our business, we get, and I say we meaning advisors, we get so focused on portfolio and assets and return that we kind of forget about everything else. So it's the peripherals that really are what clients are most interested in. You know, yes, portfolio performance is one thing, but you're making sure that their assets are titled properly, making sure their estate documents are in order, making sure that they have proper life insurance. So if they have their spouse passes away or becomes disabled, that their family's not going to be, you know, in financial difficulties. That's really what clients want. What we find is what clients want to know. It's not, do I own the right widget? We don't really hardly ever see that piece of it. It's more so the other questions.
And I don't know about you, but when I get a diagnosis from the dentist or the doctor, I want to get a second opinion before I move forward with anything. So I think it's really important to, kind of come in and see and get that second opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and look, if anybody wants a second opinion, by all means, come in and see us.
Yeah.
We're always open
Do
to
them all
that.
the time.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
So let's talk some do's and don'ts real quick of retirement planning. Chris, do you have a number one do and a number one don't?
Well, the first one, and we talked about it earlier, the number one don't is don't try to figure it all out on your own
Right.
and then engage somebody. That's what a financial planner does, is help put that together for you. The big do is do it now. Don't wait until, Brian said we've got clients in their 40s. Don't wait until you're 60. Do it now. Go ahead and get that going, because then the peace of mind is there.
Right.
Because you know what it is that you need to do to get to those goals.
Don't procrastinate. Brian, how about you?
Well, I would agree with his do for sure. And then the don't side, I would say don't make a major financial decision only with one piece of information. We see this all the time, that clients make decisions based on their emotional reaction to it. And what they don't consider are the long-term ramifications financially for that particular decision. And that's why we built our firm based on that foundation of just providing information. So it's just like taking Social Security early as a quick example. If we see this all the time. And as a matter of fact, Chris had one a couple years ago where we actually had somebody reverse their Social Security benefits because it wasn't the right decision at the time.
Okay.
But he was told to go do it. And so he just went and did it, and we turned around, we reversed it. But that's one of those things that you've got to look at the number side of it, and then you can decide emotionally if that's just the decision that you want. But you've got to make sure you get the information before you make a major financial decision.
Absolutely. It's a huge decision. Important to know all the different avenues and all the different puzzle pieces.
Well, because if you have one puzzle piece and you make a decision, it doesn't fit, it messes up your entire puzzle.
Right.
So you've got to make sure each puzzle piece fits in, just like Social Security. I mean, it's the number one puzzle piece. But.
Well, our show has come to an end. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining me. And to the viewers at home, call the number on your screen, 844-900-5210, and have a beautiful day.